What's up, guys? Andrew Rayel here. I hope everybody is healthy and safe during this very hard time. I'm locked down in my house as well. As you see, I spend most of my time in the studio. And today I've decided to break down one of my latest tracks, one of my latest releases, the Find Your Harmony 200 Anthem Light Side of the Harmony. I wanted to show you how I made it, what I've used, and maybe you'll learn something, maybe you'll find something useful for yourself. So yeah, let's start. Before I dig into all the elements I've used, I wanted to tell you a short story behind this track. So as you know, I have a radio show which is called Find Your Harmony, and every year I create an anthem specifically for a milestone I achieve. So this year we're going to be reaching the episode number 200 in 2 weeks, and I've decided to create, as always, an anthem. Same thing I did, you know, for Find Your Harmony episode number 100 and 150 and so on. So for this track I wanted to create something, you know, very anthemic, with a very catchy melody, with a vocal that tells a specific story and has a concept behind it. And I ended up with Light Side of the Harmony, and later on the dark Side of the Harmony. But today we're going to be talking specifically about this track. So this how the project looks like. At the first look, it doesn't look very complicated. It looks like just a few blocks, but as you see, I've grouped everything into folders here. So I have drums, some extra drums, a bass line, fills, the break, vocals, and so on. So if I start actually opening these folders, the project shortly gets very complicated, and it's actually a very big project. I had to remove some of the things, some of the plugins from the master chain in order to actually record the screen and show you what I've done in here. So before creating a track, or at the beginning, I always start with the melody. So same thing happened with this track. So pretty much I've created the breakdown first. I always try to find that melody that inspires me, that I really like, that I think people are going to get connected with, and you know, I always try to make it as emotional as possible. So in this case, yeah, I've created the breakdown first, and then I moved into my drum section and the bass line and everything else. But since I've grouped everything so nicely, I think we'll start in the order as I have them in my folder. So we'll go with the drums. So as always in electronic dance music, I have a very simple kick. Let me just zoom in here. This is a kick that I've used in some other previous tracks. It's a kick that I've made during many years, layering different other kicks with some good low end, some good mid end, and top end. And in the process of working during the years on other tracks, I've ended up with this track. It's actually a very long kick. Let me put it here. So it's a long kick, but obviously for this track I had to shorten it up to create some space for the bass line, which is down here. So I pretty much cut the kick in half, even more. It was like this. So just so I have this space for the bass, so the bass is clean and nice. So the kick sounds like this. As you see, I've tried different types of compressions and all sorts of stuff in here, and I didn't like it in the end, so I bypassed everything, I removed everything, I just did a simple EQ in here. And since the track has actually 3 drops, so the intro drop, 2 main drops, the first drop is more Psy influenced. It sounds something like this. So specifically for this kick in the intro drop, I was missing the top end, so I've decided to add a top kick, and obviously I've removed all the low end. I did some EQing in here, and it was all obviously by ear. I've added some mid frequencies, and then I started cutting the low end, so actually I don't even need this. And I've added some high frequencies, you know, around 5K and around 13K, but then actually later I realized in the final mixing process, I realized that's too much, so I removed a little bit of that. So it's an ongoing process, you know, by adding some frequencies, then removing, and so on, up until I felt it was sounding perfect. So I have this kick. There you go. Pretty nice, pretty punchy, very clicky as well. Very basic snares, nothing complicated in here. Some claps at the beginning with the kick. That's the intro kick, same thing. So that's pretty much, you know, the kick from the intro drop. The kick from the main drop is kind of the same thing, just a little bit different. So I didn't use the top kick in here just because the main drop was a little bit more trance, big room trance influenced. And I did something else. I've actually boosted up the high frequencies on the kick, which is kind of the same thing, and it works in the same direction. So this is the kick, and if I remove the high frequencies, yeah, you can feel that immediately it's not that sharp anymore. So I need those high frequencies, so the kick cuts through the mix when I add all the layers, all the leads and the bass lines and everything else. Okay, so let's go into the bass line now. So for the first drop, I've done some sort of a Psy bass line where I have the low bass line layer. I've done again a bunch of crazy EQing in here, but again, you know, what sounds good sounds good. Even more extreme in here. I've removed 100 hertz just because this was interfering a lot with the kick, and I've added a little bit of saturation, not much. I didn't even add the bands in here, just a little bit of drive. And of course I've added the side chain just to make space, you know, in between the kick and the bass line. Then I have this layer, which is a mid bass line. Again, I've tried a bunch of other plugins in here to boost some frequencies, but at the end I've decided it's better without any of those, just a little bit of EQing. And then I have another layer of a bass line which plays on the sides, is like in full stereo. I have this delay which makes it play on the sides. And obviously I've removed all the low end in here because it was interfering with other bass lines. So in the end we have this bass line. Very, very driving, very groovy, very nice. I liked it. So then I have some other bass, some kind of bass stabs in here, which I removed the low end from a little bit of EQing. Nothing complicated in here. Let's move to the main drop bass line. This one is also very simple. It's pretty much like one layer. I think this one was from Serum. Very simple, very easy, but the rest of the groove is on the leads and on the rhythm of the leads and other elements that play in here. Okay, so the next section is the fills. Usually I do this part pretty much almost at the end of the track. I put on my favorite snares before the drops, some other effects, reverse stuff that I do with different reverbs and delays, and reverse them and try to fit them wherever I feel something is missing. So all of this, there's even some small percussion in here, stuff like that. Great. So all of that is pretty much, yeah, I have only this at the beginning and the first drop. And then I have the break part. We're gonna miss this part. We'll get to it later. Let's cover first the first drop. So I have the vocal in here. The vocal was recorded separately, and originally it sounded like this. Let me remove this.
Or light, dark or light.
The vocals are from a great vocalist, Kaylin Potter. I asked her to record these vocals. I sent the lyrics and everything, and yeah, I really liked her voice. I heard her voice on a different track that we had on the Find Your Harmony compilation, and I thought her vocals would go really well on this track, and you know, she recorded them, and I think it ended up really nice. So for the intro drop, I specifically wanted to have these vocals with a vocoder on top of them. So I added these chords with this rhythm to the vocals, and I ended up with something like this.
Dark or
let me turn it on.
dark or light.
So
Dark or light.
I liked it already, but obviously there was a lot of, there was too much low end, and it needed a proper EQ, and some parts I didn't like, so I chopped it and I EQ'd it properly, and I ended up with something like this. And in combination with the original vocal, it sounds like this.
Choose your side. Choose your side. Choose your side.
And together with the bass line and the drums and the kick and everything, it sounds like this.
Choose your side. Choose your side. Choose your side. Choose your side.
I think it's really cool. So the next section that I actually worked on were the leads, but since I've grouped them, we'll go into the all sorts of noises, crashes, and effects like that. So I always try to add different types of noises and crashes and things like that at the beginning of the drop or at the beginning of some sections to make them more impactful, so it kicks harder, stuff like that. Also, nothing complicated, just like a simple crash. I removed all the low end. This one was probably from a different track. I didn't even have to remove this. Actually, I should have. Just, we don't need that. And, you know, different sorts of impacts and effects, all made from, you know, different samples that I found. As you see, I cut down different things, reversed them, combined them to end up with a feel like this. And of course, we have also some leads in the intro drop. So the main lead, which is like this. So this one I've grouped and I've rendered out just because I wanted it up front and I wanted to control the tail and the reverb that comes after it. That's why I caught it here, and I balanced the volume of it when it goes into the drop, into the kick. So this part, nothing plays and it's up front, and then I wanted to control the tail of the all the delays and reverbs of all this group. So this group was these three leads that we'll get into a little bit later. And also on the intro drop, I had this hardstyle lead that I think I took from one of the Huysman's sample libraries, if I'm not mistaken. Also remove the low end, a little bit of sidechain, nothing complicated. So all together, altogether it sounds like this. And now I think we're gonna go into the break, which is also I think a very complex break. I don't usually do so many layers in a break, but this time it ended up pretty much like this, like an entire orchestra or something like that. So in the break I have the piano, of course, because you know I always have a piano in the track. The piano is, I don't even remember, from White Baby Grand P1. I don't even remember where I got it from. Sounds like this. It's a little bit filtered down at the beginning, just because I have the vocal playing here as well, which we'll get to a little bit later. So it's filtered down, and then the filter opens up, and the volume is increasing slowly. So the piano I've also EQ'd. As you see in the first part, I have removed around 3000 hertz. I remove it. It goes into minus almost minus 8 dBs, just because I have the vocal playing here, and I didn't want the piano to be up front. I wanted the vocal to be up front.
Since the beginning of time, all living must face a choice. The decision to affect their entire...
And when the vocal stops playing, I have this frequency go back up to normal, so I can hear, so we can hear the piano better. Also, I brightened up the piano with these two cool plugins. You can see the settings, and I really like this plugin, Ocean Way Studios from UAD, which is basically an emulation of a bunch of studios from Hollywood, where you can place your own piano, you can adjust the microphones and stuff like that. So it's actually placing a piano in a legendary studio and then recording through the mics back, which makes it sound like a real piano. So if I remove it, for me it sounds a little bit more digital.
Since the beginning...
And with it, it sounds more like it was actually recorded in a room. So yeah, I have a delay. Actually, I have two reverbs to make the piano sound like it's pretty far, like it's in a big room. I really like the VSC2 on the pianos because it compresses really well. It makes the attack very soft in a way. And I specifically wanted my piano to be very soft in this song, in this track. So yeah, this is the piano. I'll start with the layers. So with the strings, yeah, let's go with the strings. So I have these strings from Nexus. Also a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression, OTT, one of my favorites. And I use these strings, specifically these strings, in a lot of my tracks just because they have really good low end and just in general sound epic. Then I have some higher strings here. And a cello here as well, which I placed a little bit to the right. Long reverb. I've removed all the low end, a little bit of EQing. The brass, which I really like in these types of breaks, it makes the whole thing very cinematic. It just makes the break sound like a soundtrack pretty much. And I think I had, there's the orchestra. It's also from Contacts, all the strings and everything together. Have this vocal as well. It's also from a Contact library. Is this channel? I just bounced it out just because I was having way too many instruments in this project. And what else? I have 2 pads, actually 3 pads. One from Serum, which sounds like this. Again, removed all the low end because I had it in the other strings. Yeah, a little bit of EQ. This is the other pad. And the third one, something like this. Yeah, one from Serum and two from Nexus. And I wanted to have these pads just because, you know, it's a trance track, so it's not a soundtrack. So I didn't want to have only live instruments. I wanted to have also some pads under it, and it makes the whole thing bigger. You know, it makes the whole atmosphere nicer in a way, and it blends nicely into a trancier track. Great, cool. We've covered this. I also have two Spiccato strings. So one of them, this one, is panned to the right, and this one should be panned to the left. So all together sounds like this. The cherry on top was the choirs, which I know it's already like 10 layers, maybe even more, and I've decided, well, I need some choirs to make everything even more epic. This one is from Omnisphere. And I've made it a little bit wider just because I have another choir which plays, I think, a little bit more in the middle. Yeah. Oh no, actually I've made both of them wide. This is with Polyverse wide, and this one is Brainworks. I made it also very wide. Of course, I totally forgot about some epic drums. These are also from Contact, and I've decided to make like a cool rhythm that, you know, builds tension before the main leads come in. Like this. And of course the vocal that I was talking about, which for me in this track is a conceptual vocal that, you know, explains the whole meaning of the light side and the dark side that we recorded with Caitlin. And yeah, it's just the main vocal that is placed in the middle. It was already edited a little bit by Caitlin.
Since the beginning of time, all living must face a choice.
I just added, compressed it a little bit, removed all some S's that I didn't like, compressed it, added a little bit of reverb, and then I've decided to add some sort of delays on the back, but I've rendered them out just because I wanted to control every single delay on the back, and I didn't want them to clash with the next part of the vocal, so I ended up with this.
Good. or evil, harmony or chaos, surrender or fight, dark or light.
Something like this, yes. They all go into a bus, and yeah, I think I removed even more S's. Cool. And together it's all like this.
Since the beginning of time, all living must face a choice. A decision to affect their entire existence. Good or evil, harmony or chaos, surrender or fight.
Yep. So that's pretty much the whole break. You know, a bunch of strings, a bunch of pads, the piano, the vocal, some choirs, and yeah, we get to this. This is the vocal before the main leads come in.
Choose your side, dark or light.
And I have like a little reversed effect in here. The leads. And here are the reversed leads. So it's pretty much, I took the first note from the first chord from here. I added a lot of reverb, I bounced it out, I imported the audio back and reversed it and added it here. Nothing complicated. I think a lot of people showed you how to do that. And yeah, we get to the main leads here with the main melody, with the main riff. It's also a bunch of leads which I layered. So we have, first of all, the plugs. EQ them, remove the top end, which I didn't need in this case. Yeah, a little bit of compression, fattened them up with sausage fattener. I love this one. And then we have one of the main synths that a lot of people were asking me about, and it's actually a secret synth. It sounds really good. A little bit of EQing. I needed some of those top frequencies which I added, and over here I added a little bit of low, a little bit of mid, a little bit of high. I think almost 2 dBs on every band. Reverb as always, the big one, almost 6 seconds. And what else? Compression, and I removed the low end here. God knows why, because I removed it here as well. Well, you know. And I have 2 side chains here, just because I think I've added this one first when which is active when the drop comes in, but then it felt like it wasn't enough, and I added a little bit more on the other one. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next one, the so-called ASOT lead. This one has a bunch of sends. So the first 2 sends, so this one is pretty much a reverb, and this one is a sidechain compressor which goes into 2 separate sends which are hidden right here. So it goes into one separate send. So pretty much when the reverb, when the leads come in, the reverb gets stacked out, and when the leads stop playing, the reverb comes in. You can hear it pretty, so you can hear all that reverb coming back. It's because of this sidechain compressor, which again, when the leads play, the sidechain ducks out the reverb, and when the leads stop playing, the reverb comes back in. And I have some separate reverb as well, just because I wanted to control that reverb and sidechain it in separate parts that I wanted. And the delay is also on a separate send, which you'll find on more leads here. I think on the chords leads, yeah, same thing here. For the leads, when it plays in this section, I wanted to have this low end just because I was missing it. But then I have this filter which removes the low part. You can see it here. So it filters out the low end. Should be here now. Oh, I've used this one from the Cubase. So it filters out the leads, the low frequencies of the leads when it plays in the drop, just because there's a bass line there, and there's not too much low information. Like, you don't want to have too much low information playing at the same time. So this is the chord. I also made this one wide, a little bit wider. We have the anthem. So you see, same thing. When it plays only with the leads, I keep the low end just because I felt like it was missing, but in the drop, I have it filtered down. And that's already, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. And you'd think that'd be enough, but no, I've decided to add even more. This is, I think, a lead which I bounced out from Virus TI, my Virus TI here. And some more plugs from Virus TI as well. And of course, I wanted to have a bass line under the leads as well, just so they sound super powerful when they come in. This bass line, which I removed all the top end, I just left the low frequencies. And I completely forgot about the vocal chops, which I've created here from different loops that I found. So pretty much a bunch of vocal loops that I found, and I just cut out the pieces that I wanted, and they all go into this bus with a little bit of altar boy, some delay, and some reverb and stuff like that. And then I bounced out these parts that I liked for the leads. drops on top of the leads here to make the whole rhythm go. And we get to the one of the most essential parts of an electronic dance music track, which is the build-up. So in this build-up, what I have some cashmere fills, some snare rolls. They all get filtered up, and then a bunch of crashes, different synths that are pitched up, different razors, even more snare rolls and stuff like that. A bunch of sweeps and stuff like that. That, you know, some of them I rendered from different synths, some of them I found online. Some impacts, hall kicks.
Or light.
And of course, to make the main drop even more impactful, I have these crashes and noises at the beginning of the each part, so it kicks in super hard. Yeah, even more crashes here. And of course, the main drop is pretty much the kick that I showed you, with the bass line, which is like more static. It doesn't have like an actual groove, but then the groove is on the leads. Very cool, very cool. So I have two main drops. They're all, both of them are pretty much identical, just because it's the anthem track and I wanted to have it a little bit longer. I wanted to have it longer just so, you know, the melody plays longer in my set, so people get to remember the melody and the theme, and we can actually do some fun live stuff with the visuals and stuff like that. A cool thing here in between the two main drops, I have a tempo, the tempo of the whole project goes a little bit down, and then it goes almost twice as fast, which in a way aligns to the original tempo. So if you take it from here, let's play it from here. Oh, it's from here. There we go. So I put the tempo down, then it speeds up almost twice as fast, and which means by selecting the rhythm that I wanted, it aligns pretty much into the original BPM, something like that. So it sounds like it was, you know, slower and going into the original BPM 130, but actually it went from 90 to 264. Yeah, something like this, 264. You can see it here. Yeah, that's a pretty cool trick to do. And of course I had the vocal here, which is in full stereo. I think I put it a little bit of stereo here, and even more with the delay. just because I had this synth in the middle. Where is it? Yeah, this one. And I wanted the vocals, I wanted the people to hear vocals very well, so they were not clashing. That's why the synth is in the middle, the vocals are on the sides. Also, it's worth mentioning, I completely forgot about that. So before the main drops, I've actually bounced out all the leads. You can see them here. So this is the A sub lead, the chord lead, the anthem lead, and everything, just because all of these leads have a very long tail with all the reverbs and delays on them. So you can see this tail is super long. And I wanted to have the drop kick very hard, and I wanted to have it very clean, so when it hits you can hear that the kick is clean. So that's why I bounced out all of these leads, and I removed all of the tails on all of these parts, so you can hear that, you know, when it kicks, it's super clean.
Dark or light?
Same thing on the second drop.
Choose your side. Dark or light?
So yeah, that's pretty much it for this track. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. If you guys want to see more of these kinds of things, want to see other projects, just let me know in the comments, and you know, maybe I should do a tutorial on an older track. I think I still have the 550 Cent and Aeon of Revenge on an older computer, and I just need to find those, and I can just plug it in and show you how I made those tracks. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. That's it for this short tutorial. Thanks for tuning in.